Hi, it's Rikke here, and today I want to talk to you about worrying, or rather how to worry properly. I love that word, properly. And this is especially for you if you're a career changer, you're an entrepreneur, you're moving through a period of transition and uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to stay focused, i.e., knowing what to worry about and what to ignore. This is so important, knowing the difference between destructive worrying, and productive worrying, right? That's a key skill for you to develop if you want to continue to create work that you love in the world. And that's why I want to share with you a very concrete tool. Today, I literally want to share a thinking tool with you. And it's a tool I've been using with my clients for many years, and you can literally apply it immediately. Now, the way I'm going to teach you today is going to be the pandemic simplified version. So you can literally take it and apply it straight away. And I call it the Worry Properly tool. And it's actually a test so you know whether you should worry about something or not. And it's, like I say, highly practical. My clients pretty much call it a sanity saver. And I think it's especially important right now because if you are a worrywart, or even if you're not, it's almost like with COVID-19, there are so many more things to worry about. So it's so important to find a filter to know whether something is yours or not. Does that ring a bell? Now, if you're new to me, my name is Rikke Hansen. You can find me over at rikke.me. That's rikke.me. I've been a career transition advisor for 15 years, and I've literally helped thousands of mid-career professionals, so professionals in their mid-30s to mid-50s, figure out what the work is that they actually want to do in the world, whether that's a new job, a new career, a new business. So everything I'm going to share with you here has been tested on super smart people like yourself. What that often means is that a lot of smart people worry a lot because that brain needs to be kept active. There are also people who often see uncertainty and worries when others don't. So it's really important to find something to control the beast with. I'm sure you know what I mean. Also, if you're listening to this, you're likely working and have for many years in a profession that is potentially where you are paid to worry for a living. The problem is when, that's things like law, IT, HR, marketing, people are paid to spot problems and spot as many problems as possible. The problem is when you take that mindset of overly worrying about what might go wrong or what might impact, you take that and you apply it to your career change or to your transition into entrepreneurship or a different business, it might just be a showstopper. On top of that, you layer a pandemic like right now, and it can seem like a real cognitive overload. Here's the deal. Uncertainty is not going to go away. Worry is not going to go away. Even when this pandemic is going to go away, there's going to be something else to worry about. So if you're someone who wants to keep creating work that you love in the world, which is an ongoing process, then you need to find a way to decide what to worry about and what not to worry about. And that's really what I want to share with you. Selective worrying, or rather, I call it worrying properly, right? The Worry Properly tool. I love that word, proper. Now, I also want to say, and this might be the case for you too, a lot of my clients over the years have been control freaks. I'm a control freak too. And I think control freaks have kind of been poo-pooed. Oh, you're a control freak. But actually, sometimes being a control freak can really work in your favor if you know how to channel or funnel it right. And right now can be both the best and the worst time for control freaks. So if you're a control freak, keep listening. I got a very special way for you to apply this tool as well. That's actually going to make you feel in charge. Now, I see a lot of things like, oh, control freaks, you should, one way to cope with right now is to, focus on your knicker drawer, your sock drawer, your kitchen cupboard. But, if you're anything like me, that sock drawer looks Marie Kondo the heck out of it already. And my kitchen cupboard has already been organized 5 times round. Let's think bigger, especially we know now this is going to go on for quite a while. Let's think bigger as to how we can use our control freak tendencies to help us keep going, okay? Here's really what I see happening right now when it comes to worrying. The majority of people, they're like, I'm just going to wait and see what happens with this whole pandemic. Which basically means I'm going to worry about what might happen. That's what most people are doing right now, is like stopping everything and waiting and seeing and worrying about what might happen. If that's you, that's just like what most people are doing. However, there is another choice to make, and that is to decide what you really want and commit to creating it, commit to continue to create it no matter what. For both groups, time will pass either way. It's just that one group is being more careful about what they use their time on. What if you listening to this right now, let me remind you and encourage you to use this time we have available right now, both wisely and powerfully. So just check in. What's the choice you've made? Have you chose to wait and see what happens and meanwhile you're worried? Or have you decided this is just making you commit even more to the transition you want to make no matter what? Most importantly, how's your choice making you feel right now? Here's what I see with a lot of people who are in the wait and worry camp. They worry loads, but most importantly, they don't really feel like they have any input or any agency as to what's happening. How they feel very much depends on the latest stress scroll, the latest piece of information about the economy or COVID-19 that they read, or it may be that there's the escape route into Netflix and all kinds of way of avoiding having to deal with these things, which might be great for a short period of time. But we now know that this pandemic will have long-lasting effects. So at some stage, you're going to have to come back and decide what you're going to do. Right? So I see a lot of people right now who they've done the restoration piece, they've done the Netflix thing, and they're like, okay, I know that I probably need to do something, but what do I do? Okay? If that's you, then listen in. Because there is another thing that you can choose to do, and that's to decide what you really want and then commit to creating it no matter what. Yes, timeframes might be longer now, or they might speed up, and you might need to be more creative with your plans. But here's the deal. The time will pass anyway. Wouldn't you rather use it effectively to keep creating your dreams? Because here's the difference. There are a lot of things you cannot control, but the input that you have into your career transition, into your business, that thing that only you can do and responsible for, nothing has changed for that. You can still control that 100%. What you think, what you feel, what you do, that is very much up to you. And choosing to continue to keep going with creating your dreams, that will make you feel powerful. You have the opportunity to make that choice. Nobody can take that away from you. And doesn't that just feel so much better than just waiting and worrying, right? Because when you keep going, you will still keep adjusting. So if something happens and you need to adjust, you will adjust. And my friend, that is a skill we need in the world right now. We do not need the stagnation and waiting skill. We need an agile way of approaching our career change where we keep going and we adapt as we go along. That's actually always been the way that I've chosen to teach career transition skills, but now everybody needs it. So let's get in with the real time training here, right? Because this is not going to, even though COVID-19 is going to go away, there'll just be something else coming that we need to learn to adapt to. So rather than thinking, oh, this is so bloody inconvenient and can't we just go back to normal? Remember, the future was never a given anyway. Uncertainty has always been the human condition. It's a very, very modern way to think that we can control and predict the future. So let's learn how to work with what we got and keep going and take exceptionally good care of ourselves in the process and be very careful about what we choose to worry about, and it will change everything for you, I can promise you. And here's the thing, a point I want to make in case you haven't listened to my last two recordings. So COVID-19 and career change and resilience. I do agree that it is good to think of this as a pause in some way. The great pause, the great restoration, that's important. This is definitely the time for you to really think about what you want and to also get some rest if you need to and when you need to. But it's also important not to use it as an excuse to stagnate, because the longer you wait, the longer you Netflix it, the longer you lie on the couch, the harder it's potentially going to be for you to get going again. That's just the law of nature, right? The longer you stagnate, the harder it is to get back into momentum. So the way I see this as a beautiful reminder that we actually need to build rest and restoration and reflection into our everyday life going forward. That is how we get out of this. Just like the economy, the longer you leave it, the worse it's going to be. The same thing with your transition. We need to find a way to sustainably keep going, to on an ongoing basis restore, reflect, and rest. So listen to my recording about career change and resilience if you want to learn how to do this. This is not about grinding away or forcing ahead. This is about being super smart, about you for once in your life actually deciding you are going to make this transition sustainable, something you can keep doing rather than having to stop and waiting and see what happens. You decide what happens in your world. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about now in terms of what you worry about and what you don't worry about. Because here's the deal. It's the same amount of time, right? What's going to happen now? Here's one of my favorite quotes about time and what we use it for. Yeah, it might be that certain things in your transition will take longer, or it might not. But here's the thing. I love this quote. It's a quote by Earl Nightingale. Never give up on a dream just because of the time it'll take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. End of quote. Things will take time, but time is also the only thing we've got to actually create our dreams. So how are you using your time right now? Are you using wisely or powerfully, or are you using it to worry a heck of a lot? So let's talk about the Worry Properly tool or the Worry Properly test. Now, as I say, this is a simplified version, the pandemic version. There are more layers to this, but I want something you can run with straight after that. So let me know when you start using it. Let me know how helpful you're finding it. So whenever there's something that you could worry about, a worry comes to you, here's what I want you to ask yourself. And obviously, this is to do with career transition, with your business. It's applicable to other things in life, but that's what I specialize in. It's the career change. It's the business transition. So ask yourself, this worry, this problem, can I do something about it personally right now or very soon? If the answer is no, then it's a worry that is not my problem, which means that you need to let it go. Because if you don't, it becomes destructive worrying. That's really what makes worries destructive, is when you worry about something you have no agency for. That's the most destructive, toxic kind of worrying. So right now, for example, can you do anything personally about COVID-19 in terms of stopping it or developing a vaccine or getting the financial markets back on track? Probably not. That means it is not your personal problem to solve. That means you need to let it go. You cannot afford to rent its space in your career change transition hit. Okay? That obviously doesn't mean that you won't worry about it at some level, but you need to not give it too much space. And most importantly, you need to learn how to let things go that you can't impact and how to really regulate your nervous system. Again, there's more about that in Career Change and Resilience, the other recording I did. However, if when you ask the question, can I do something about it personally right now or very soon? If you can, then it's really not a worry. Then it becomes a problem-solving exercise, or rather a solution-finding exercise, an opportunity-spotting exercise, and that is productive, proper worrying. Do you see the difference? It means that you ask yourself, okay, what can I make happen now or in the near future to solve this worry, to deal with this worry? You start brainstorming, you start taking action, you start planning. Do you see the difference? If you want to worry, you got to make sure it's productive, proper worrying. Something you can personally do something about right now or very soon. If it doesn't fit that criteria, it doesn't fit that test, then it's a worry and you need to let it go. And if it keeps coming back, you need to find a way of regulating your nervous system and reminding yourself that it's not yours to carry. Okay? Here's a very important way to tell the difference. Destructive worrying rarely happens with a pen in hand. Destructive worrying rarely happens with Post-it notes or a calendar. Most worries, actually, if you think about it, are destructive, irrelevant worries, right? They're vague, they're free-floating, they slowly develop, and then they suddenly develop into, over time, a full-scale train wreck. We all have those times. It might be first thing in the morning, after stress scrolling, but really it's a destructive use of your creativity and imagination that could be so much better spent. So be very, very selfish how you choose to allocate your energy. You only have so much energy. You only have so much, space before you get cognitively overwhelmed. So be very careful. Whereas productive worrying, it's not just aimed at chewing something. And, it's productive worrying is about finding solutions. It's concrete. You probably have Post-it notes. You might have a calendar. You might have a pen in hand. It probably also happens at very specific times where you decide to sit down and do something about it. It's directly related to something you can personally do, your career change, your business. It's productive. It's problem solving. It's opportunities. It's solutions. It's looking at people who can help you, ideas to try, to-do lists, things to stop doing. It's a productive use, a proper use of your beautiful imagination, your beautiful creativity. Okay? So be very, very careful. Next time you find yourself worrying, can you straight away get a pen in hand, get Post-it notes out, or actually can you not solve that problem and hence let it go? This will change everything for you in terms of, it will not mean that you can eliminate those worries, but you can decide they're not part of your current ecosystem. And you can really take it as a reminder to focus on what truly matters for you. So here's an example, right? Is it your problem? Is it a showstopper for you right now that you might feel or believe that because of the current economy, there might be fewer jobs posted, things like that? No, that's actually not your problem because it's not up to you for the head count. It's not up to you to decide what companies they do in terms of how many people they hire, who they fire. A productive, proper use of worrying there is to turn it into an opportunity spotting, as in, no, you might not be able to control how many jobs are posted. That's totally out of your hands. But what you can control is your network, who your friends are, who your network is, and the opportunities that can come through that. You can control whether you spend this time upskilling or maybe even starting something on the side so you don't actually have to wait for an employer to pick you. So be very, very clear when you see something that potentially could be a problem. Is it a problem you can do something about? If it is, then do what you can. If it's not, let it go. Okay? It's also the same thing. Let's say you had this business idea that included a lot of in-person stuff. Is it a problem you can solve? You might think, because of COVID-19, now it's out of my hands. Well, what if it wasn't? What is actually COVID-19 is one of the best things that could have happened, because now you can think of all other reasons why you can turn it into an online thing that might make it easier for you, that will make you location independent, that would actually also future-proof your business. This is the thing with one of my clients. So we've been working together for a while, and she had this idea that she came from a high-flying corporate career, and she saw the stress that people have, but she knew things like fitness and wellness therapies could really help people. So she wanted to start this really sophisticated gym with both mind, body, spirit therapies and weightlifting and all kinds of things, really high-end gym in a big city in the world. And I was like, I was her career change advisor. And I said to her, I don't actually think you will enjoy that purely because you're not someone who enjoys operational issues, like staff issues, like cleaning issues, like all of the sort of day-to-day that comes with a big operation like that. Then COVID-19 happened, and now she's finally realizing it. Yeah, you were actually probably right. I would have hated the operational aspects of that, but I love the idea of creating something like this online where I wouldn't have to deal with the day-to-day running of a physical location, where a lot of this could be online, could be made easier for me. So what is your equivalent of that? Instead of thinking, COVID-19 is a showstopper for my business. Well, is it actually? No, it's not. It's just giving you an opportunity to think about how you could actually make that business work better for you personally and be more future-proofed, be more related to what's happening now. What if it was the best thing that ever happened? So be very careful. What things are outside of your hands and what are things you can actually turn in? What are the worries you can actually turn into problem-solving exercise to really realize you have so much more control potentially than you do think, okay? Also, one thing I always recommend that my clients, they do is that they set a specific time aside to worry. Here's the deal. Free-floating worry can often turn destructive, because you sort of, worst case scenario and worst case scenario. If you actually sit down at a specific time a day where you're like, okay, now I'm going to problem solve. Which of these worries can I start problem solving? Then you will find that it actually becomes a lot more productive and you can worry properly. So that also means that when you get into like a worry spin, let's say in the bathtub or at night, it's like, okay, right now is not my worry time. I'm going to let that go because clearly unless I can start, taking notes or getting a calendar out or post-it notes, I am worrying about things that are probably out of my hands. So try to control your worry time, and also you'll find it's going to free yourself so much energy. So if you're worrying, okay, it's not my worry time, come back at 3:00. It might sound crazy, but try it. You will find that it is so helpful. There's so many worries that are really not there for your career change personally. Focus on the things you can control, you can problem solve, you can find opportunities in. It's going to make everything so much easier for you. Another thing, and this is for us control freaks. Right now, whenever there's uncertainty, but especially right now, find something you can control and then control the heck out of it. Problem solving, opportunity spotting. So rather than just do that with your kitchen drawers and your kitchen cupboards and your knicker drawer, whatever, do it with your career change. What is potentially a problem you're seeing that you're having that you can do something about right now? I'll give you a completely different example. One of my clients that I work with who came to me thought she needed a massive career change, but we actually realized that she had the right subject. She happens to work in strategy, but her biggest worry was that she felt a lack of confidence. I helped her realize that actually confidence wasn't really the issue. The real issue was that she felt like she wasn't really in touch with the subject because she spent so long working in an organization where the culture wasn't right for her that she thought that she didn't like her subject, whereas actually the problem was there was a company culture that was totally wrong for her. So she felt a lack of confidence going out to interview because she didn't really feel like she knew her subjects. I was like, okay, that is actually a problem you can solve. You actually did a master's in your subject. So what you need to do is to go back and read through those books, get that vocabulary, get the buzz phrases, get the case studies, get the stuff that makes you feel like you know what you're talking about, and then identify the things you already have done in your career. That is what she, over the last month, has been controlling the heck out of. She told me she's sometimes literally reading hours a day because she's right now working from home. And you know this as well. If right now you're working from home in a job you don't love, you can find potentially pockets of times to start creating the next thing if you really control that piece. Now, when I just spoke to her a couple of days ago, her confidence is, she's like, I'm confident. I got the vocabulary now. Make sure you're solving the right problem, okay? Worry, i.e., is this something I personally can do something about now or very soon? Becomes a problem-solving exercise, an opportunity-spotting exercise. If it's not something you can personally do something about now, right now, very soon, let that shizzle go. You have my permission, all right? What are you going to use this time for? Never give up on a dream just because of the time it'll take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. Make this time matter. Use it wisely. Don't give up. Grow through this. Even if it's baby steps, momentum matter. Don't stagnate. Keep going. Keep restoring, but also keep going. Remember, even when we're over on the other side of COVID-19, there will be something else to worry about. Such is the nature of human existence. What you need to focus on is how to become really resilient, how to keep going, and how to be really clear about how to worry properly, i.e. productively, creatively, to the benefits of the work that you want to do in the world, okay? From a recovering worry wart and a fellow control freak, I'm sending you the biggest possible hug. We are getting through this. Look, we are getting through this. Let's keep going. Let's keep creating work that matters. Because that, my friend, is what the world needs so much of right now. People who want to go to work in the morning, who love what they do. Now, if you're in the scenario where you're not sure what the work you really want to do is, whether it's a career change, a new job, a business, come over to rikke.me. That's rikke.me, and let me help you. There has never been a better time to use this time to create work that you love. All right? Talk to you soon.